Breaking news on Martyn Lucas investor. We are diving deep into the Epstein files that just got released and how those files might show us the real reason and who started the suppression on XRP and Ripple, and does it reveal who Satoshi Nakamoto is? Well, let's get straight into that. So here we go. This is directly from our very own newsletter. It is the first link in the description. You can access it for free. We give a lot of free content, or there is a 25% offer for the premium plan. So, XRP, the Epstein files, Bitcoin's origins, and the war against Ripple. What 3.5 million pages of declassified documents reveal about who built Bitcoin and who tried to destroy XRP, and whether the SEC was part of that plan all along. On January the 30th, 2026, the US Department of Justice released over 3.5 million pages and more than 2,000 videos and 180,000 images tied to Jeffrey Epstein under the Epstein Files Transparency Act. Within hours, a single screenshot from that mountain of documents set the XRP community on fire. The screenshots showed an email that the names on it were Jeffrey Epstein, Reid Hoffman, Jolie Itu, and a man called Austin Hill. The subject line: Stellar isn't so stellar, referring to XLM. And buried in the body of that email was two words that made every XRP holder stop scrolling: Ripple and Stellar. But this story isn't what crypto Twitter made it out to be. It's bigger. The email doesn't show Ripple working with Epstein. It shows a Bitcoin company executive writing to Epstein, arguing that Ripple and Stellar were enemies and needed to be stopped. And the questions that raise are far more interesting than any conspiracy theory. So, very interesting. Let's get into it. It's the Bitcoin maxis loved as soon as this came out. They were all over X, trying to make it seem like Ripple and XLM were connected with Jeffrey Epstein. Give it 5 more minutes of research, and they figured out that that's not the case. There's a lot of connections to Bitcoin's founders. We might even know who Satoshi is at this point. And they're the ones linked to Bitcoin. And they were trying to crush Ripple and Stellar. Remember, these are all my opinions, plus we've got some evidence for certain points as well. So this is the email that started it all. On January the 31st, Ripple CTO David Schwartz, also known as @JoelCats on X, posted the actual email from the Epstein files with a comment that surprised everyone. David Schwartz said, and I quote, "I hate to be a conspiracy theorist, but I wouldn't be surprised if this is just the tip of a giant iceberg." What's he referring to? Well, let's have a look at this email here. This is from Austin Hill to Jeffrey Epstein. He says, subject line: Stellar isn't so stellar. Hi guys. We obviously have seen and then linked to the Stellar website. I'm not sure what the relationship with Jed and the team are. I know obviously some of the players, but this is a problem for us. Why is it a problem for them? Why does he care if there's a company called Stellar? Why does he care if new currencies were being created? Why is this such a problem for us? Is he connected to it? Well, let's continue. Would one of you please give me a call at, and then obviously it's crossed out the number. I can explain some of the issues, but basically I've been asked by other co-founders to reduce or take allocation away. Ripple and Jed's new Stellar are bad for ecosystem we're building. He's building a Bitcoin ecosystem. What's this all about? We're building, and does our company damage to have investors who are backing 2 horses in the same race? Happy to discuss a farewell to deal with this. That's from Austin to Epstein. So let's read that again. Ripple's former CEO, Schwartz said, didn't dismiss this as nothing. He's an accredited person. He's got credibility. He's worked at Ripple for years. He is the one who's just called this the tip of a giant iceberg. The email itself was dated July the 31st, 2014, and was sent by Austin Hill, then CEO of Blockstream, a Bitcoin infrastructure company. Hill was writing to Epstein and Joy, the former MIT Media Lab director. That's going to be important later because this story is crazy, by the way. This story links to Gary Gensler. It links to who Satoshi was. It links to who created Bitcoin, the initial founders. It links to potentially the case against Ripple and the SEC. I mean, this is, when I was writing this, I had the chills. I said to my wife, maybe someone's going to come and do something bad to us now we're uncovering the story. But touch wood, hopefully this is all public information. This is just my thoughts on it. Please don't come after me. Let's continue. The email itself was dated then. Yes, he was, Bitcoin infrastructure company. So what was the message? Hill's message was blunt. He had been asked by Blockstream's co-founder to pressure these investors to abandon Ripple and Jed McCaleb's newly launched Stellar project, arguing both were bad for the ecosystem Block was trying to build. Blockstream. The key detail here is the email showed Bitcoin-aligned executives pressuring Epstein to cut off support for XRP and Stellar. It doesn't show Ripple seeking Epstein's help, like some people were trying to say. In fact, Ripple appears only as the target, the project that needed to be eliminated. Why does XRP and XLM and these tokens of utility, why do they always have some sort of suppression? Why does someone always want to get rid of them? All the way back into 2014, when these projects were only in its early days, they were still trying to get rid of it. I mean, that makes me question a few things. Does this show who created Bitcoin? So let's move on, because we've got some crazy things in here as well in these files that just got released. Someone's just put in the chat, Craig Wright is Satoshi. That is the worst thing I've ever heard in my life. Craig Wright, the BSV community. Oh my God, don't get me started on that. Let's continue. I mean, that's worse than the Bitcoin maximalist. This is the question the XRP community has been debating since the files dropped, and it's worth taking seriously even if the answer isn't simple. The Epstein files don't contain a document that says Jeffrey Epstein created Bitcoin, but they do reveal something that raises real questions. Epstein was deeply embedded in the network of people who shaped Bitcoin's early development, funding, and institutional support. Consider what the documents show. Don't just take my word for it. Let's see what it says. If everyone's just tuned in, please can I ask you one thing? Please take a second to hit the like button. It takes 1 second. I know you haven't done it yet. I know you still haven't done it. Take a second, hit that like button. Please do subscribe if you haven't done so already, and check out the newsletter. It's the first link in the description. You can get the full article in the newsletter. We do a free XRP weekly newsletter as well. Plus, we have a 25% discount if you want the premium plans as well. So let's continue. Consider what the documents show. As early as June 2011, tech investor Jansen was emailing Epstein directly about Bitcoin's creators. This is 2011, guys. This is early days of Bitcoin, and Epstein was involved. Epstein directly about Bitcoin's creators references Gavin Anderson and Amir Taki, two of the earliest and most prominent Bitcoin developers. Here's the email to Jeffrey Epstein. Hey pal, running out to a kid's birthday party. We'll dig up their info. So you know, these are the folks who are trying to build a business. They are crazy open source folks who are radicals. Their motive is more in line with WikiLeaks or Wikipedia. I had these guys on my TV show, YouTube Startups, Gavin Anderson and Amir Taki, Bitcoin, Best J. I would like to get in touch with the Bitcoin guys. I'm happy to see you doing well. So look at the bottom of that email. Epstein wrote, I would like to get in touch with the Bitcoin guys. This is 2011, just 2 years after Bitcoin launched. The creator Satoshi Nakamoto had only recently disappeared from public forums. And here was Epstein actively seeking access to Bitcoin's founding circle. Then there's Joy Ito, the same Joy Ito who received Austin Hill's 2014 anti-Ripple email, was the director of MIT's Media Lab, which housed the Digital Currency Initiative, one of the most important institutional supporters of Bitcoin's core development. The links you can now see our linking. ITO resigned from MIT in 2019 after it was revealed that he had accepted funding from Epstein and concealed the relationship. The money Epstein funneled through MIT went in part to fund the very infrastructure that kept Bitcoin running. Epstein's money was essentially used to build the infrastructure to promote Bitcoin, to keep Bitcoin running. And here's another email from the files dated June 2013, showing someone sending Epstein and billionaire Tom Pritzker an article about Bitcoin's adoption in Kenya. The subject line, Kenya primed for wide-scale Bitcoin adoption. By 2013, Epstein wasn't just curious about Bitcoin, he was being briefed on its global expansion potential. Really, really a lot of Bitcoin content, early days, was being shared with Epstein. But perhaps the most striking document is an October 2016 email from Epstein himself. This is from Epstein, writing to two contacts, Rafat and Azia, about digital currencies and the Middle East. Epstein casually dropped a line that has set the crypto world alight. I've spoken to some of the founders who are very excited. So what we're going to do now is go over to part 2 of this video, because that very line could tell us a lot about Bitcoin's creators. So if you want to go watch part 2, I'll put it up here. If you want to go check out the newsletter, there is a free version, there's a paid plan, check it out over here. But until part 2, take care of yourselves and each other.